The air shifted last night, not in the physical, but in the spirit, where unseen voices gather and echo in realms far above the noise of earth. And in that holy space, God whispered your name with trembling, not in anger, not in disappointment, but in desperation, because something is moving toward you that you are not yet prepared for, and heaven cannot allow you to sleep through this divine alarm. Heaven is crying to reach you, not metaphorically, not symbolically. The very winds have begun to carry the vibration of urgency. Angels assigned to your timeline are no longer standing, they are pacing, watching, listening, awaiting your awareness. Because there is a document, a conversation, a closed door meeting that has set something dark into motion, and your name is inside it, not because of guilt, but because someone is shifting blame, and it is about to become very real very fast. God says, this is your moment to open your spirit before someone else closes a door you cannot unlock. A chain of events began moving 3 days ago, quietly, strategically. A small decision made in fear by someone you once trusted. They feared their own exposure, so they offered your name as spiritual coverage. Not legally, not yet, but in the spiritual realm. Your name was handed like a token into a deal that reeks of compromise. What you felt lately, those sudden waves of anxiety, the deep unrest during moments of silence, it wasn't your imagination. It was heaven's alarm system. You felt it, even if you didn't understand it. The tightness in your chest, the dreams you couldn't remember, but woke from with a heavy soul. The flashes of faces that once brought comfort now stirring concern. These were not coincidences. They were spiritual warnings sent to protect you from what's moving in shadows. Archangel Michael says, a name has been given that does not belong in the investigation. A spiritual courtroom was opened. Testimonies were presented, and your identity was inserted to deflect heat from the truly guilty. This isn't just about earthly law, it's about spiritual alignment. Someone has offered your name into a transaction built on lies, assuming heaven would not respond. But they are mistaken. Archangelic forces are now surrounding your spirit, guarding your reputation, blocking what they plan to use as evidence. There is a divine file with your name on it, but it is blank, pure, untouched by what they tried to project. You are not the criminal in this. You are the covering. They believe dragging you into the chaos will soften the blow when truth hits. But heaven has not allowed it to proceed without a fight. That's why this message is not gentle. It's not soothing. It's a shout through spiritual fog, a lightning strike across your timeline. Because time is short. 45 minutes in heaven's time does not mean hours on earth. It means urgency in eternal consequence. God says, if you do not pause now, the acceleration will overtake your awareness. This message was not just sent. It was delivered. Through layered synchronicity, through divine interruption, something is about to unfold, and you must not be spiritually absent. Open your eyes. Open your ears. Listen with your spirit, not your emotions. Because someone is hoping you stay asleep just a little longer so their plan can go unchallenged. They know you're innocent. That's what makes the betrayal so severe. They believe your kindness will silence you, that your mercy will keep you from confronting them. But mercy is not blindness, and silence is not agreement. You were not created to be a scapegoat for someone else's disobedience. Archangel Michael says, the record in heaven is about to be sealed with truth. But your alignment must come now. He stands at the threshold of your atmosphere, sword drawn, not in war against you, but in protection of what's still pure in your name. He's waiting for your spirit to acknowledge what your heart has already felt. You don't need all the details. You just need to respond. There's something moving quickly. Files, rumors, calls, conversations. And while your name may not yet appear in public ink, it's already been passed around in hidden networks. The delay is divine. God held it back long enough for this message to reach you, to give you the choice to activate divine covering before the false connection cements itself in earthly systems. God says, you must stand up in the spirit now. You must reclaim your name from every spiritual transaction made without your permission. Declare back your identity. Step fully into the truth. The window is thin, but it is open, and heaven is watching with fire in its breath. Because if you say yes, if you say now, every angel assigned to your life will move at once, breaking contracts, shattering alignments, exposing lies. There is a weeping in heaven tonight, not because you've failed, but because you've delayed. But that delay ends now. The spiritual court is still in session, and your voice, your decision, your awareness matters. Respond, rise. Return to divine awareness. There was a meeting. It didn't happen in a boardroom or courtroom, but it was just as serious, held in a dimly lit room filled with low voices, nervous eyes, and hidden agendas. You weren't there physically, but your name was spoken like a pawn being moved across a board. And one person, one who knows your patterns, your goodness, your generosity, leaned in and made a choice that will haunt their spirit long after this plan fails. They placed you in the center of a situation designed to burn, assuming your quietness would keep them safe. They never thought you'd find out. They believed if they wrapped their lies in polite smiles and shallow check-ins, you would stay asleep. But heaven is not asleep. God does not slumber. And now that the veil is lifting, your spirit is waking up to the trap that was laid to collapse your future in slow motion. You were supposed to absorb the blow. You were supposed to take the fall. They needed someone believable, someone trusted, someone unsuspecting, and your name was the perfect mask for their guilt. God says, this deception has been layered for months, but divine sight is about to unravel it in seconds. The whispers began a while ago. Little shifts in tone, delays in communication, over-apologies followed by distance. That wasn't your paranoia. It was your discernment being tested. Someone you once embraced has been quietly feeding false information to a system that now believes you're tied to an act of betrayal or criminality. But you're not. not spiritually, not physically, not legally. You've been set up by association. This was not an accident. This was orchestration. And they underestimated one thing: your anointing. It's not loud. It's not prideful, but it's powerful. It marks you in the invisible realm as protected, covered, sealed by something they cannot manipulate. That's why things have been going wrong for them. That's why every time they try to push the plan forward, something glitches. A file gets delayed, a phone call drops, a signature is missed. Because even in their deception, God's hand keeps interfering. Archangel Michael says, they planted seeds of falsehood, hoping the harvest would appear before truth could intervene. But what they failed to realize is this: you were born under divine surveillance. The moment they invoked your name in this false network, heaven responded with surveillance of its own. Now angels are watching every move, every email, every casual conversation, every lie rehearsed behind closed doors. The trap is being traced, and the schemers are being exposed. God says, do not confront yet. Just observe. I will give you signs. I will reveal names. I will make your spirit restless around those involved. You don't have to guess. You will know. And when the moment is right, what was done in darkness will break wide open in broad daylight. You won't have to fight for your innocence. It will rise like morning mist, soft but undeniable. There is one person among them who is beginning to break. Their guilt is eating them alive. They still see your face in memories of kindness, and it's haunting them. That's the crack in their plan. That's the divine leak heaven is using to pull apart the web. You may begin to feel compassion for them, but don't confuse that compassion with compromise. God is working justice and mercy, but justice must come first. This plan will not reach its target. It cannot. There is a location tied to this, somewhere familiar, a place you've trusted. It has become a hotbed of discussion, and your name is being recycled like an accusation that hasn't been verified. What they don't realize is that every time they speak your name in dishonor, they activate divine backlash. Their words are not just failing, they're cursing their own plans. That is the boomerang of betrayal. What they aimed at you will turn with force and find them instead. Archangel Michael says, prepare your spirit for vindication, but also separation. This will come with loss. Not everything tied to this exposure will be healed immediately. Some relationships will die, some doors will close. But it's not punishment, it's preservation. You are being extracted from a poisoned room, one that smiled at you while it signed papers against you, and your silence has been your weapon. But now, your awakening will be your deliverance. There is still time. That's why this message reached you. There is a divine pause holding back full exposure so you can shift spiritually into protection. Speak to God with your spirit. Align again. Reclaim your name. Stand tall. Because the storm is coming, but it will pass over your house. It will not destroy you. God says, do not be afraid of their authority. It's borrowed. They pretend to have power, but I am the one who holds the verdict, and I have already ruled in your favor. Now let the process unfold. Let the schemes unravel. Let the liars sweat. Your only job is to stay awake. Keep your spirit open. And when the time is right, I will speak on your behalf. This is not the end. This is the divine interception before collapse. The tension in the atmosphere has shifted. Something sacred has entered the space where your name was misused, and the spiritual courtroom is no longer silent. Archangel Michael has arrived, not with ceremony, but with fire. His blade glows with the heat of heaven's fury, and his presence commands both realms to listen. This is no longer a matter of suspicion. It is now a matter of divine truth, standing in direct confrontation with corruption. The very moment your name was uttered in falsehood, a supernatural protocol was activated. Archangel Michael descended into the spiritual corridors where deals were whispered and intentions twisted. He did not come to negotiate. He came to interrupt. What they believed was sealed is now unraveling. The papers they drafted, the narratives they spun, the lies they carefully rehearsed. He is tearing through every one of them like wind through dry branches. And where there once was quiet manipulation, now there is divine chaos. God says, I allowed it to reach this level only to show how far they were willing to go. They were not testing you. They were testing me. They thought they could play with spiritual fire and not be burned. But you, my beloved, are not without covering. You were never meant to carry this burden. And now I have dispatched heaven's mightiest to remove you from the center of their scheme. You are no longer the accused. You are the witness of what I will now expose. Archangel Michael says, I have stood in the interrogation room where they practiced their lies. I have heard the stories before they could be typed. I have seen the messages sent behind your back. And now, their words echo back into their own ears. What they spoke about you is now forming chains around their own ankles. The spiritual authority they thought they borrowed to tear you down is being revoked. Their access is being denied. Their favor is crumbling. You will begin to feel this shift even before it reaches the earth. The heaviness that has lingered around your shoulders, the pressure you couldn't name, the fatigue that clung to your spirit, all of it will begin to lift. Slowly at first, then suddenly. Because where Archangel Michael stands, deception cannot survive. And where he raises his sword, truth pierces like light through sealed stone. Something dramatic is about to occur. A key individual involved in the plan is going to make a sudden move, one of panic. Watch carefully. Their shift in behavior will be sharp. They will attempt to cover their tracks. They may even reach out to you with feigned concern. But do not be deceived. This is not repentance. It is fear. They can feel the divine momentum building against their fabrication. And they are beginning to crumble under the weight of their own design. God says, I have recorded every conversation you weren't invited to, every smirk behind your back, every forwarded message that omitted truth, every strategy aimed at making you appear weak, complicit, confused. But I have kept the original version of you sealed in light, uncorrupted, untouched, untainted. You are still my choice, and they are now discovering what happens when someone tries to tarnish a soul marked by heaven. You may not be present in the earthly rooms where this is being discussed, but your spirit is already there. You are not defenseless. You are not unrepresented. Archangel Michael himself has taken your name and laid it on heaven's altar. He has declared your innocence and rebuked the accusers with words that make demons scatter. You are not alone in this war. You are escorted, protected, and divinely backed. Archangel Michael says, I am disrupting their alliances now. The unity they once shared is beginning to crack. Where they once laughed together, now there is mistrust. They are turning on one another in secret. Their lies are overlapping. Their timelines are not aligning. What they meant to look flawless now looks forced. And their masks are slipping. You must be spiritually alert in this season. Let your intuition speak louder than logic. Pay attention to the moments where someone says too much or not enough. Trust the unease that rises in you around specific faces. That is your spirit reacting to what it already knows. You are not being paranoid. You are being guided. This phase is not about proving anything. It is about watching everything. God is your defender, and the courtroom of heaven has already issued its order. Do not touch this one. Do not link their name to what is not theirs. And yet they tried. They tried, thinking your silence meant surrender. But your silence was sacred. It was God holding you back for this moment of holy reversal. Soon, someone you once trusted will have no choice but to confess. Whether out of guilt or exposure, the truth is going to escape from their lips. It will be shocking, but it will not destroy you. Instead, it will complete the chain reaction. Heaven started the moment this message reached you. The chain is now breaking link by link, and what once held your name in tension is falling apart completely. God says, do not mourn the loss of those who betray you. What feels like abandonment is actually release. What seems like chaos is divine clearing. I will not allow you to share your next season with those who tried to bury you in this one. The interrogation is nearly complete. The lies are unraveling. The swords are drawn. The verdict is forming. You will not be condemned. You will be confirmed. The sky above your world darkened as if the heavens themselves were holding their breath. The moon trembled behind torn clouds, casting shadows that danced like phantoms on the walls of your life. A sudden silence fell, a prelude to the storm about to break. The moment that once seemed distant, like a faint drumbeat at the edge of your awareness, is now pounding fiercely at your doorstep. The arrest is imminent. They are coming, and you are at the center of their design. Archangel Michael says, I stand guard where earthly justice meets divine judgment. Your name is on lips that speak with cold certainty. But what they do not see is the armor forged in the fires of heaven, wrapping you tighter with each accusation. Their human hands may reach for you, but their grip will falter before the invisible force defending your spirit. This is no ordinary arrest. This is a crossroads where human law meets divine decree. God says, "I weep for you because I know the pain you will endure, but I also weep because I have prepared a way." This is the moment where the world's systems try to silence your truth, but heaven's light refuses to be extinguished. The chains they intend to place upon you are already broken in the unseen realms. What looks like capture is the beginning of your liberation. What feels like an end is actually a divine interruption, rewriting the story before it can close. The night air thickened as blue and red lights approached, painting your surroundings in surreal colors that flickered like a warning from another dimension. The footsteps outside grew louder, heavy with authority, but hollow with ignorance. They do not know the full story. They do not know the forces swirling invisibly around you, ready to defend, to protect, to overturn the plan set against you. They do not know that Archangel Michael has descended again, his wings unfolding wide, shielding you with a radiant barrier that only divine eyes can see. In the distance, a key figure steps forward from the shadows, one of those who orchestrated this moment. Their face is pale, their eyes darting nervously. The plan was supposed to be foolproof, but now fear has cracked their mask. They try to give orders to control the scene, but the divine presence disrupts their commands. Their words fall flat, intercepted by the power that has been summoned to your defense. God says, "I have heard every prayer you whispered in the dark, every plea for justice when none seemed near." This is the fulfillment of those prayers. The ones who plotted to bring you down will now face their own reckoning. The scales of justice are tipping. The truth you hold in your heart, the innocence that runs like a river beneath the surface, is rising to flood the places where deceit has taken root. Archangel Michael says, "I am severing the ties that bind you to this false accusation. The arrest is real, but the charge is not. The evidence they have is woven with lies and shadows. I am dismantling it piece by piece, letting light pour in where darkness tried to hide. The courtrooms of men will soon see what the courts of heaven already know. As you stand on the edge of this moment, feel the strength rising within you. A power not your own, but given by God. This is not a time for fear. This is a time for faith, so fierce it moves mountains. The arrest is not your defeat. It is a divine setup for your ultimate vindication. The wheels are turning, and the angels are marching behind you. The breath of heaven brushes against your face, cool and steady, reminding you that you are never alone. Even as the world attempts to confine you, your spirit remains free, held in the palm of God's hand. The darkness attempting to swallow you whole will instead be swallowed by light. The prison doors may close briefly, but your destiny is breaking open wide. God says, "Do not despair at what you see, for I am orchestrating a rescue that will shake the foundations of this earth. Your name will be cleared, your honor restored. The voices raised against you will be silenced, and those who doubted your strength will watch as you rise like a phoenix, crowned by divine justice. Archangel Michael says, "Prepare yourself, for the battle is fierce, but the victory is certain." The arrest marks the beginning of a new chapter, one where truth shines brighter, where your faith is tested and proven, where your spirit soars beyond the limits of what men can impose. The sky begins to clear, the moon emerging stronger, casting a silver light that feels like a benediction. The storm of accusation is not the end. It is the fiery forge refining you for the path ahead. You are surrounded by unseen legions of light. You are protected. You are chosen.